Okay, so welcome to class 6 of Death and Rebirth in the Spiral Galaxy. And it's so good to see you all here, and so glad to have, got this far and you're still here. That's good. That's really, really good. So got material to cover today will be the Great Death Spiral, which is the final death rite. And I'm going to do a demonstration of it, explain it, and then give you a chance to practice it as usual in pairs. And then the second half, we're going to go into a ceremony that comes from my Peruvian teachers called despacho, which is basically a prayer bundle. And this one is an IA, despacho. IA means death. And so I'm going to give you an experience of that. One, so you can have an experience of a ceremony, and particularly a very powerful one that actually aids the spirit in making that transition back home. And then I want at the end for us to have some time for review and reflection. So what I'm proposing is that we won't have a check-in at the beginning, that we will leave that for the end rather than having a personal, as we usually do, go around the circle. And I also wanted to, at the beginning, before we move into those last two parts, to address some of the questions that some of you have been sent me in the last few days, because I think they're important for everyone. So I really appreciate your notes and sending me. I always love hearing from you throughout the course. But so I'm going to address some of those at the beginning, just so we can get some clarity. And I think some of them are going to tie in naturally to our closing today. So I just want to also welcome Gail, who's here again. Right there she is. Hi, Gail. And she's going to has been helping out already in preparing for the ceremony today. So first of all, some questions around, and really legitimate ones, like around how we offer these services, and we did have discussion at the beginning, and we talk about permission, to get permission to do this work. And now I'm going to, while that still stands, getting permission, I also understand that there are, because I've experienced it myself, times when, particularly when we're talking about family and friends, okay, where they will make themselves known. That's the only way I can explain it. It's like, it's not me thinking, okay, I need to do something to help my aunt, uncle, brother, sister, whatever, or friend, but I literally feel their spirit. I know, I'm awakened in the middle of the night and sensing, intuiting that they are near at hand and they want help. So that is a particular situation where you're being asked for help directly from the person. This is not a family member calling you and saying, oh, this and this, and mom is really struggling and I feel like she's hanging on. And then you can offer, you can always. So I'm going to talk about those two situations. One, when it's either a client, a family friend, somebody who's either in the process of passing, getting close to, or has already passed. If that spirit appears to you and you feel really, clear within, that they have come to you, then you can take that as permission. And again, this is all about being, as in integrity as you can, being very conscious of your own motivations and separating them out. But you can take that as permission giving, because they've made their presence known to you. And I mean, that would also apply to to situations where you might not know the person, but I mean, that can happen, and I can speak to that. But if you feel you've got permission directly from that person, then you can do all the interventions that we've talked about. How do we, it's difficult to know, it always is challenging to make that discernment when it's someone perhaps that we know, but we also know or think, again, don't make assumptions. That's one of the important rules of life. Don't make an assumption that you might think or assume that the family is not open to it. So the family, would think that is evil. So, and that's another issue which we'll deal with. But so what I've done when I don't want to get into shamanic death, right? Blah, blah, like you don't need to get into all of that, but you can simply ask, like, say, for example, you're speaking with somebody who has a family member who's dying. And you can ask, is it okay if I offer some prayers? So you can use a word like prayer, because this is like prayer. I used to say that to children when, when I didn't want to get into a big explanation, which was too much for them, and they didn't need to know all the details. So I would say, is it okay if I do something like pray for you that you be well? So, and I know that would be like maybe a looser definition of prayer than most people would understand as prayer. But if you think about the opening sacred space, for example, that is definitely in the realm of prayer. And we are doing an energetic intervention when we open sacred space. So, I mean, we're dealing with the realm of the invisible, right? And that not everyone has an understanding of, or even an appreciation for. They think you're dead, and that's it. So I guess I'm just giving you some ways in. And the other thing is that you can offer advice or reflection that doesn't come over as, well, I know something you don't, and putting yourself in the position of expert, which some people, for good reasons, are not trusting of. So you can, make suggestions or reflections for people, so when it comes to, for example, the life review, if you don't have any personal contact with that person, you can offer a reflection that says something like, any opportunity that you have in the context of the conversation, to say something like, well, it's really helpful, or I found it helpful, or, maybe, your mom or dad or loved one would really benefit from, talking about their life. I've learned that, at the end of life, it's really helpful for someone to talk about their life and to, resolve any issues, like, to forgive themselves, forgive others, not have any loose ends, right, to tie up. It's really important to tie up all your loose ends before you die. So gentle suggestions like that and reflections to the person who probably has more direct contact with the person who's dying. Like you can see those as planting little seeds for them in a suggestive way, as opposed to, oh, this is what you need to do, right? Telling people what to do. Remembering the 4 stages, right? Which is 1, giving life review, really important. So you just clue up all your business, unresolved business before you die. And 2, giving permission, right? Reassuring the loved one that that the living ones will all be fine. There's no need for them to linger or stay around. Everybody's going to be fine. And you can plant that as seeds if you don't have direct contact with the person. And then the third one, clearing the chakras. Now that would be something you would need to do unless the person has, a way, and you can instruct them to do it or offer to do it on their behalf. And then the fourth one, which would be the final death rites, which we're going to cover today. So that's the four steps, or the 4 stages. So, yeah, so there were some questions around that. Now, a couple of people talked about both personal anxiety, fear, and also some others have asked about, when other people are resentment or angry, which I would see as other people's fear. And I think they both may be related at one level. And that would be something that all of us would have experienced and are carrying, and is in the collective, which is not to go, back that far, but the whole witch hunts and the whole persecution. I mean, many hundreds of years, but, probably shorter in terms of the worst of it, but all the burnings and the torture and the murder of all those healers, all, mostly women, but also men who had any knowledge of healing and medicine. And that was very methodical and carried out, all over mostly in Europe, but also then in America and in North and South America. I mean, Peru is known as the only country, the last country in the world to have an active office of the Inquisition. They still have a government office or department for the Inquisition. So this is not made up. This is real. Like, this is the persecution of the Roman Church and the Roman Empire, of all, wanting to erase all traditional feminine knowledge about healing and medicine. And how long were women excluded from schooling and from, in particular, faculties of training, because the Western medicine took over, and that was dominated by men. It took a very long time for women to even be admitted into those higher learning, centers of higher learning. So this was a very methodical and deliberate attempt to wipe indigenous wisdom off the earth and to disempower, in particular, females. So, so we all carry that in our field. You wouldn't be here if you wouldn't have had some experience in some lifetime, and be carrying that, which will be affecting you. It took a long time. When I got to Four Winds, and the first time I went to the first ceremony, the first class I went, and they had their big, we went off on the bus outside of, I'm not sure where, yeah, it was Park City. And I'm in a field out under the sky, with 150 other people. I mean, I was panic stricken. I kept looking behind me, and I was waiting for, like, the men to come. I mean, that was my feeling and my experience. It took a long time for that to fade, and for me to clear that imprint from my energy field. So, I couldn't talk myself out of that. That was my body's reaction. The fear and the anxiety was a visceral, physical thing in my body. I couldn't relax. I was afraid. So we have that. And here we've stepped into the role of healers, even though that might not be our professional identity. But you wouldn't be on this call if you weren't, deeply called to this work. But imagine it's in the collective as well, right? So that's where the fear and the anger and the resentment can come from other people. So just understanding that that's not just us. It's a collective thing. We're carrying that personally, and it's in the collective. So
Are you saying it wouldn't be unusual to feel sick going through this course?
it wouldn't be. I mean, it could be coming up as, you know, when you say sick, you mean like stomach sick or anxiety in your stomach or stress?
Physically unwell that almost completely seems to feel like it's stress related.
Yeah, it could. I'm not saying that it is, because I don't know your, you know, a particular individual's situation, but it certainly could. Yeah. Second chakra stuff and third chakra. It could be a lot of chakras, actually. So this is something, I'll just bring it up here now, is that some of these are really what we would call in the shaman world imprints in your field. So they're not they're not always easily cleared by yourself, because they're deeper and they're more interwoven throughout your whole energy field, and we call that an imprint. So the chakra clearing that you've been doing can clear a lot of stuff, and particularly stuff that's not deeply rooted in your luminous energy field. And if you feel you need support, which there, you know, it's like my teacher would say, there are some stones in your garden that you can clear yourself. You can lift them, you can, you know, root them out, dig them out, and you can take them out. But sometimes there are big stones, and you need help to get those out. So that's something I'm, you know, I'm happy to help with. If there's, I do provide one-on-one personal sessions, so energetic sessions. So if that's something that you'd like me to help you with, then I'd be happy to do that. So you can contact me later after the course at any time. So yeah, and you know, and because I'm not tracking for anybody in particular, so I won't know. Like, that's something I would do in the context of a one-on-one session to see exactly what's going on. So yes, so this is, you know, somebody was raising the question, a couple of you actually, about, you know, why is it I'm so drawn to this? Is it like for my own personal healing, or is it, you know, because I'm actually maybe going to need this in my professional work or for my family and friends to provide this service? And of course, I can't answer that definitively for anyone from right now, but I think you can safely assume that both are true, that you wouldn't be here. And that's why I offer the course the way I do, and why I describe it the way I do. You know, this is about personal growth and stepping into your power and your wisdom. And like I say, I'm pretty sure everybody who signs up for this course is because it's familiar to them. And this is something that they know, so you're just remembering, right? And remembering that we aren't separate from the collective, in that as we do our personal healing work, then that's a service to ourselves and our own lives, but also to the planet, because we're also part of the collective. And when we've healed those wounds, then we can be a better and greater service to all those around us. So the other question that came up was just about continuing, and I love hearing, you know, how helpful and also how empowering the connections that you're making with each other in doing, you know, these practices with each other and sharing, and, you know, both in the class and outside of the class. So we can talk about that, but certainly that's why, you know, make sure you all have contact information for each other to continue those friendships and those relationships. It's so important now that we can be connecting with our soul families. And, you know, I can say that, you know, my family doesn't get anything of what I do, but yet they sort of know when they need me, or, you know, they need help, or they feel better after they come for a visit. So my family regularly come for a visit, but they think I'm a witch and I'm going to hell. So, it's interesting, you know, that conflict that they must feel. And I certainly don't push it down their throat, but you know, we had to find our soul family. We came through our biological families for a reason, because they were the ones that were going to set us up on this path and allow us to discover and you know, seek healing perhaps ourselves, but also they would set us up to be looking beyond our physical biological family to find our soul family, right? And so I consider that one of my most important roles that I do, not just sharing this knowledge and these healing tools and information, but also to connect people with each other, connect us to, you know, grow our soul families. So yeah, whatever, you know, I'm going to leave that up to you. And of course, you know, as I always am offering things, other courses, other training, and moon circles and special ceremonies. So, you know, again, this is a place where you can come. Those circles, I say, come warm your hands by the fire, right? Because this is the fire of our deep passion and these deep healing traditions that are ancient and known to us in our bones, right? We remember this. So, you know, keep warming your hands by the fire, keep filling your soul cup and strengthening these connections with soul family. So that's my honor to do that. Okay, so that's the main points that I got, and feel free to come back to me with any other questions. So we've run out of time on this, but we can use the Facebook group. Now, you know, I will confess that I've, you know, when the whole censorship thing came and Facebook showed their true colors and their, you know, where their loyalties lie, not with building community, which is what they told everyone, but and strengthening connections, but you know, the whole censorship thing sort of soured me from Facebook. And apparently Facebook is, as a social platform, is probably going to die a death, and you know, and I don't know what yet to replace it with, and it has been one of the main social platforms that I've used for connecting our soul family around this work. So, but in the meantime, it's there, and I do monitor it, and any questions that you know you have, you can certainly go on there. I just don't know how viable it is or how long it's going to last, but certainly use it to the extent that you're comfortable and wish to use it as a way to connect with other people who've done, you know, who are doing this work, taking this training. So that's what all I'll say on that for now. Yeah, so that's all the points there that I wanted to address. So from Michelle, just to see now. Yes, Soul Matrix. Yeah, now that is, thank you, Michelle, for bringing that up. So that is the home and the website of, oh gosh, Steve Noble. And those of you who've been with me for a while know that I actively promoted his work, his meditations. They're so powerful, and he's a powerful healer and in high integrity. I would recommend him wholeheartedly. He has created a community that's global and thousands of people, and his platform, he created his own platform for that very reason. He's big enough, he could do that. So it's called Soul Matrix, and so that is an alternative, you know, to meet there. And I do have an account, and like Michelle said, that's where she found me there. I posted was advertising this training there, both her and Michelle and Susan, right? Susan, you got me there too, right?
You can also start your own group there.
Yes.
Right. So, I mean, maybe we could start a practitioners group there that we could all connect through it.
Yeah. Okay. I will look into that. Thank you, Michelle. Yeah. Okay. So, so now as I said, I'd like us to move directly into the topic today, which is the final death rites. And in your guidebook, you will have the steps of the Great Death Spiral. You will also have a diagram that shows you actually how that spiral happens, how you do that spiral with the heart at the center. So what you need to know, and I'm going to demonstrate it, and you'll get to practice it, and you'll see that it just basically pulls together everything that we've done so far. You know, the whole back counterclockwise motion, the cleansing of the chakras, and the unscrewing of the field, which we did when we lifted our luminous fields. So it just brings all of that together. So what you need to know is that those final rites are performed after the person has died. So when they stop breathing, right, then you can release the luminous energy field and seal the chakras immediately after death. This can be done from immediately after death up until about 40 hours. I say there's a window. Remember, I talked about that 40-hour window when the doorway between the worlds opens up, between the physical body, that's the transition doorway. And you seal the chakras. That's going to be the other step. You're going to unscrew them in a particular way in the spiral, and then you're going to seal them so that the luminous energy field doesn't re-enter the physical body or become contaminated by the energy residues in the body. So those are the two main steps. And again, you're going to imagine that you're creating a big spiral, a great spiral with the heart at the center. So that's going to be, again, the different step here. You're going to be centering around the heart. And yeah, so I'll just quickly tell you the steps, and then I'm going to demonstrate it with Gail. So first step always is you're working in the big sacred space, and I can open that up again today when for Gail. And then you expand your luminous field, so that 8th chakra, over yourself and the person that you're working with. And again, that's to provide a layer of energetic protection from outside energies. So after the person has stopped breathing, you disengage the chakras. And remembering that there will be a rhythm and a vibration that will shift, because as the luminous field begins to detach from the physical body, they actually speed up. So this step is usually done very quickly. This is not something you would do slowly, as if you were cleansing your own chakras or the chakras of a person who's still in their physical body. Already, that luminous field is starting to detach and separate. And it will begin to just naturally, it starts to move very, very fast. The vibration increases. And it's because it's starting to loosen, you see, from the physical and even from the luminous threads that connect that person to the events of the past. All of that is loosening up. And so the rhythm changes, and you can feel that. And of course, if there's sludge, you know, if that person is, you know, still got lots of sludge in their chakras, and if you haven't had a chance to do the cleansing of the chakras, then, you know, again, you're also loosening up that sludge. It's sort of built into this final death rite. So it will help, you know, loosen all those chakras. So same process that you've done, using your fingers, right, going down into the well. So you draw the spiral with your hand. So you start with the heart, and then you go down to the solar plexus. So you start with the heart and you draw it out, that like the screw, unscrewing it. Then you go back to the heart and then move down to the second, to the third, the solar plexus. So you go down because you're going counterclockwise. And you'll see me do this with Gail. And then you just like you did for lifting the field, you pull it out like you're unwinding that screw. Then you go back to the heart. You keep going back to the heart, down to the solar plexus, and then up to the throat. And with the big, pulling that one out. Then back to the heart, down to the solar plexus, up to the throat, and then down to the sacral. So you see the spiral's getting bigger with every turn, right? With every set, I guess. Well, that's not quite the right word, but back to the heart, down to the solar plexus, up to the throat, down to the sacral, and then up to the third eye. And then you go back to the heart, back to the, yeah. And so you're just, loosening. And you do this fairly quickly. Once a person has died, like we don't have to do it so fast because we're working with still living people who are firmly connected. But when you're doing this with someone who's passed, this, you do this very quickly. And so you repeat that with each chakra, right? Returning to the heart and until you've disengaged all of them. And so always ending with the crown. Now, for most people, you'll feel that luminous field will just exit immediately after you've done that. And you don't have to do anything else. But there are some people, and particularly those who, for whatever reason, they're reluctant to leave. The luminous field is still a little stuck. So then what you do, there's 2 extra steps. What you can do if you're really feeling and sensing that luminous field is not lifting off, then you go to the feet and you push energy through the person's feet to nudge that luminous field free. So you put your palms of your hands on their feet and you just imagine, sense, intend that there's energy coming out of your hands and pushing, nudging it free. And sometimes that can be enough to break it free. And if it's not, then you can go to the crown, and this would be the next extra step, and you can draw out the luminous energy field from the head chakra, the crown chakra. And I'll show you how you do that. You go and you hold the head gently, and you might remind them again, it's okay to go, remembering that they can still hear you, right? And that, so you just, softly, firmly just say, it's okay to go, my love, it's okay. And then you draw your hands back, exerting just gentle pressure on the head. And, in drawing out that luminous energy field through the crown chakra. And if you're actually there with a person, you can feel a tremendous surge of energy as that luminous energy field breaks free of the body. So there you go. You needed those 2 extra steps. There they are. Yeah, and I see your hands. I'll come back there to you. And then the last step, I just want to finish. The last step is to seal the chakras. And this is, of course, what the priests and some ministers have been taught to do. You use your thumb, and you draw the sign of a cross, which is not the Christian cross. It's the equal length cross. We call it the Southern Cross, which is far more ancient than the Catholic Church. It basically represents the intersection of space-time in this 3rd dimension in which our physicality manifests. And So you're doing this, you can use holy water, water that's been blessed, or you could use an essential oil of some kind to do that. And again, it's to represent the sealing of that doorway into a physical body that will never be used again. So again, remembering, I don't know if I told you this story about I offered this training to the Presentation Sisters in St. John's, and they were amazed to find out and delighted that the rites that the priest do, this is where it came from, and this was the meaning of it, because they didn't understand it. But what the priests themselves most often do not know is that this actually sealing of the chakras can actually seal and permanently connect a person's soul, their luminous field, to their physical body if it hasn't yet exited. And that's why so many souls are still attached to the physical body until it disintegrates completely. It can stay attached. And so that's missing, right? Imagine all the people who've been sealed into their bodies, or, at least are permanently connected to their bodies until the whole body disintegrates and dissolves. So
that include the bones?
Pardon? Yeah, even the bones. Yeah. Bones are considered the most sacred part. So anyway, did you have a question, Shana?
Yes. I am assuming that with the unsealing of these chakras, because they're dead, we are not resealing them in the way like right washing, forward washing. I don't know what that.
You definitely, yeah. Now I will do forward washing or rebalancing. We call it clockwise, is rebalancing with Gail, because she's still living, and you will too when you're practicing with your partner. But when somebody is actually passed, no, you seal them. And that's the different step. You seal with the sign of the cross. Yeah.
Okay. And then when if you have to put your hands on their feet, obviously this is after they're dead as well.
Right.
Just to be clear, we're touching dead feet, but
yes, yeah.
You do. Well, does it matter if you're on the dorsum or the sole of the foot, or I guess it makes a difference?
Well, just putting your hands up against the bottom of the foot, just the whole.
That's what I would do naturally, I think. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, Helen, did you have a question?
So if we feel sludge, we're not flicking it off.
No, yet
practice, even in the practice.
The great death spiral in itself, you are backwashing. So if you are loosening up any sludge that's in those chakras in the final death rite itself, you are doing it. Yeah.
But do we flick it off, or we just?
Well, I mean, you don't need to, because already what's happening is the luminous field is already disengaging, right? It's already starting to separate. Yeah. I mean, no, I would stick with the spiral. Just do this, stick with the spiral at that point. Because now you're just helping and making sure that the luminous field is actually separated and detached completely from the physical form.
I guess the real difference is remembering what the purpose is, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And it will naturally fall away, I mean, I would say that's why it's, really important to do some cleansing of the space, because some of those, what we call the astral body has the emotional residues, and that can go, that's why I'd be thinking, oh my God, clear the space, because you don't want that stuff adhering to the loved ones who are there, right? And may be vulnerable to pick that stuff up because of their love for their departing one. Yeah, clearing space and working in sacred space, so important there. It will provide a protective function for you, right? And I mean, so those other things of clearing space, yeah,
What do you mean by clearing space?
Well, like using some kind of plant medicine like sage or Palo Santo, or, candles, or, whatever, right? Whatever, opening the windows, for goodness sakes, would be, right? To let the toxic energies, go. Anyway, that's a whole other issue, but yeah. Those astral fragments, that's why, any invocation that you do, asking to clear and doing what you can to clear space. Like if I couldn't smudge or whatever, I mean, I always have my like my rose waters and my boreal forest sprays, right, which I use regularly as well to clear my space. And when I can't use smoke, for example, or that wouldn't be appropriate or welcome. So whatever, I mean, you can make your own spirit water. I happen to make my own liquid clearing medicine too. Lots of ways to clear space. So there you go. So yeah, did you have a question there, Michelle?
Yes. So if the person is taking a seemingly long time to leave their body, and you feel that calling to help them, they're not dead yet. I mean, they're in transition, but they're not dead yet. So do you do this to help them along, or this is absolutely not till the very end?
Yeah, no, I would be doing the 7 chakra cleanse before that. If
Okay.
they're still in their body, yeah, do the 7 chakra cleanse, because that will do this. That will serve a similar purpose in helping their luminous field disconnect. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. So, Carolyn.
Yeah, I know it's preferable that you be there in the hospital room or wherever, but a lot of times these things happen quickly and the person is lying in a funeral home or morgue. So, the aspect of doing it long distance,
Well, you're going to
with
be doing.
your intention, I mean, it's better than nothing.
Well, you know what? It's as equally as effective as doing it in person.
And I would think a little bit more relaxed and authentic, that you can be more authentic because nobody's there, what is she doing?
Right,
An interfering action.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so I think in an awful lot of cases, you might be needing to do it long distance or, remote.
Yeah. And that's actually like the great benefit of this work. You don't need to be there physically. So yeah,
Mm.
it frees you up to actually be of service in a greater way. You're not limited to having to be there in person. Yeah.
So just real quick, going back to when the priests come in, because now I'm starting to remember lots of deaths that I was present for. They come in and they're doing the cross and the holy water and the last
The last
rites.
rites, they call them. Yeah.
So that's actually a detriment if the person isn't actually dead yet.
Exactly.
Because I always was like, oh, well, let's get the priest here quicker, sooner than later. But no.
Now you know.
Oh, crap. Okay.
Right. And if it's somebody coming just to pray with them and for their healing and to bless them, that's different. But sealing the chakras, no, you don't want them doing that, sealing the chakras, no.
But what's the priest doing when he's doing the last, walk
sealing
through
the
the shadow of yeah, you know what I mean?
On the chakras, honey, I tell you, the Roman Catholic Church, if you can find some if you can tell me some good things that they've done in the world, then I'd be happy to hear that. Not one of them. This is not where they shine. No,
Okay, thank you. That's huge.
it is. Yeah, that's why the Presentation Sisters were so empowered by this work.
It's so sad.
It is.
Mm.
Yeah, much harm's been done.
It makes you think of all those times when the priest couldn't get there in time and how that was just divine intervention.
Yes. Yeah, I know, it's sobering, isn't it? And, and it's not to blame all the priests, if that's what they've been taught and they just haven't been taught the whole thing and why they're doing it and about, the luminous energy field, then, they're ignorant. But that doesn't mean they're still not culpable. But if, they didn't know, then they have, yeah. So, yeah.
Mm.
Yes, Carolyn.
So that raises the question, if they've gone ahead of you, then what do you do about it? Can you do anything? But I remember the wonderful story that Alberto Voldo talks about, the passing of his father, who he was present for his passing, and did all of the wonderful work that we've been talking about. And I guess he must have stepped out or something like that, and the priest stepped into the room and was starting to do the work. And Alberto just grabbed him and threw him out of the room and said, "Don't come back until I open that door again." And he did the spiral unwinding. And then, once that's done, open the door. Yes, you come in, Father. So it's very powerful. And again, this raises the question: is there a intervention? Is there any help to be done by doing it even after the priest has come by?
Yeah, well,
We-
I'd be unwinding those chakras and just undoing that sealing,
Yeah.
right? I just would, yeah,
That might be done so automatically by them that there's hardly any intention involved, whereas you may have, a bigger,
mhm,
I don't know, more intention to clearer intention.
yeah. I would just do the death rites and with the intention of, on sealing those chakras, on doing that. I mean, yeah, and I would just trust that my prayer and my intention was.
If you're there, you're meant to be there, and there's no harm to be done.
Right, yeah. And whether or not, that, I think it's not all ministers are given those rights, right? Are told that or taught that way. So you just assume that it hasn't been done and you just go ahead and do the death rites, the final death spiral. Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah,
I guess there's no harm if it has been done to you doing it again. It's not really gonna,
exactly.
you'll probably wouldn't feel much, right? Like,
No, well, you could set the spirit free with your intention and by doing this death spiral. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to now just move into, ask Gail to, we'll get her set up. So if you need to take a little pee break, well, it'll take us a couple of minutes here just to get set up, and then I'm going to demonstrate. So I'm Gail, but of course I will not be sealing her chakras. And what I will do is spin her back in by doing the reverse of the Great Death Spiral. So just so you know, right? And I'll just show you what I would do, going to the feet and to the crown, if in the event that the luminous field wasn't easily detaching. All right, okay. Okay, I think we'll close these curtains now. Is that a cat I hear me now? Is he? Christabel came in. I don't know her in. No, it's Izzy. She's locked in. Excellent. Then Christabel. Oh, perfect. Where you do walk. Okay. Okay. Okay, Izzy. Okay. Sure. Izzy's looking to jump off again.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right. So just to help them, you know, get into the spirit here, into the mode, and we'll put this over your eyes, okay? And Izzy is getting ready to jump. Okay. I'm just gonna put this little thin scarf over her. Right, a little bit of. Okay, Izzy. All right. So I'm gonna open sacred space again. Okay. Pachamama, great mother, we've come here today, mother, for the healing of all of your children, the stone people, the plant people, the furred, the finned, the winged ones, the two-legged, the four-legged, creepy crawlers, those that slither and those that burrow, mother, within you. Thank you, mother. We are here at your benevolence, mother, and thank you for your love and your ever sustaining generosity. We say thank you. And spirits of the north, we call on you to be here. Great journeyers, great whale, great hummingbird, all you who know the way home. We ask you to be here and to bring our ancestors, the grandmothers, grandfathers, ancient ones, all those that have come before us. We greet you and thank you and honor you. All those who will come after us. We ask that you will help us remember our place in the great circle of life. And we invite you, ancestors, to warm your hands by our fires today, to whisper to us in the wind. And if you can benefit from this healing work we are doing here today, we ask you to please to come and to benefit, to receive the healing that you need today. If there's anyone who is ready to make that final journey or needs to be assisted on that journey, if this work can serve you today, we invite you and thank you. And we welcome you into this space. So, spirits of the east, great eagle, great condor, you who come from the place of the rising sun, come fly over us, be here with us, helping us remember how to stretch our wings wide, to fly wing to wing with great spirit, to step into our power and our purpose for being here at this time. And we ask you to keep our eyes high and to help us, give us clarity and help us practice discernment in this work, to trust in our deeper and higher knowing, and trust that we are doing the work of the Great Spirit here at this time. And we say thank you and welcome. And spirits of the south, we call on you to come. Great serpent, you who are the great healer, we invite you to wrap your coils of light around this group that's gathered here today. And help us to shed the past, the way you shed your skin, all in one piece. To shed the stories and the wounds of the past, so that we can be present to the beauty. And we ask you to help us walk ever more gently on this earth, and to step into this paradise, to help create this paradise on the earth, to reclaim the garden. We say thank you and welcome. The spirits of the west, We call on you, you who are the great protector spirit, great jaguar. Come head round this medicine space, mulch up the heavy energy. And we ask you to teach us your ways of walking with impeccability in the world. And to live with courage. Give us the courage to go beyond death. And you who have seen the birth and the death of galaxies, show us the way over that rainbow bridge today into who we are becoming. We say welcome, thank you. And turning to the heavens above, to the luminous ones, to the light bringers, Grandmother Moon, Father Sun, star nations. Thank you for connecting us to the light and helping us remember that we are children of the sun here on this earth. Thank you to all our guides and guardians, our teams of helping spirits, for working with us and being here for us through this last 3 weeks and beyond. And we call upon all the archangels, the ascended masters, all those luminous healers from the past and from the future who are here with us today, working with us. Welcome. And we thank the Great Spirit, who we know by many names and is yet the unnameable one. Thank you for bringing us all together, for dreaming us into being, so we could sing this song of life and dance on this green earth one more day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay.
You have a cat there, right?
Yes, you do. You have a guardian cat, making sure that you're here. She got a little distressed, I think, when she saw you lifting up. I know
She was
that's-
very gentle.
I think she's back now. He's coming back here. Is he? He's coming back here, Billy. Take a little journey. Well,
It just felt lighter.
is it? Yeah. Okay. Right, you take your time. Yeah, no, it works. Is he there? And your little guardian cat. That was funny. Okay, any questions about that? So what I did, you saw, is I did the spiral. And then I went to their feet just to show you what you would do if you needed to push and nudge it out. Then up to the head if you needed to pull to draw it out. But then I, quickly, I could feel her starting to lift off. So I went right back to her heart. And, so then it was just screwing it back in. And you see, I do the like pushing, I don't touch the body, but I kind of just like push, nudge that chakra back in. It's just you don't have to do that. It's just part of how I do it. And so you just do it backwards. You just do everything completely opposite, which you're counterclockwise. You're doing everything counterclockwise, the spiral. So it's just the opposite of unwinding and detaching. Any questions before I set you free to go play?
I do.
Yeah.
I think you might have mentioned this now that I'm asking it, but the heart is kind of like the anchor point.
Yes, just because, the heart is that connection to, in your in-body connection to your soul, right? That eighth chakra, which is outside your body, which is the home of the soul, is directly connected to your heart, to your high heart. So
And
it's the center.
And then when you finished, you kind of smoothed her out again, like we did before.
Yeah. Again, I mean, I don't know if that's really needed. That's just my intuitive. My hands want to do that. So yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
So-
Before we go play it.
In one of the replays, I think it was from last week, you were talking about there are some dangers to this, and that we don't want to do that. So how can we, as we're practicing, not do any damage, do no harm?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think here there's no harm in this group here. But the harm could be with someone who didn't have good intentions.
Okay.
And wanted to cause harm. So it's all about your intention. Or somebody who's not in, how would I say it? Who's not fully in their body anyway for some reason, because they have some mental health, psychological issues, right? I mean, there are people whose souls have been captured and taken over. So, I mean, and that's not going to happen every day, but it is possible. I feel like, I just need to warn you, there are people who are not fully here, that they've suffered either, a lot of soul loss, and you don't want to, be playing with them. Now they need to pass and would benefit from the same processes to clear chakras and enable them to go home if it's their time. But if you were practicing, say, you just use your discernment in terms of who you would practice on or use these practices on. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel any ill feelings here. I just meant like, if we don't know what we're doing, can we do any harm? Can we,
Yeah. So for example, somebody who's using drugs or alcohol, you wouldn't you know, unless they're on their deathbed and they've been doped up, particularly with morphine. Morphine is the shamans will tell you that morphine is a drug that disconnects people from their heart, and it shuts down that connection. And so what that means, because the heart is often the chakra, not always, but can be the chakra that's most open. Remember how I said the soul will exit the chakra that's most available to it? And the heart is one of those. So it does make it difficult for people to pass and to, you know, do so naturally in a good way. So if there's, you know, if you are in a position where you can advise or ask for another drug other than morphine, Oxycontin is one, that's a good choice.
Thank you.
And people who are really awake will say, you know, they don't want any drugs. They want to pass consciously, because once you have drugs, then, you know, particularly pharmaceutical drugs, they always have a dark side. So for morphine, the dark side, or we might call it the side of potential side effects of it, is that it closes the heart chakra.
And yet it's the
Or
one of
there's
the big
more-
things that they always give.
Exactly, yeah. And then you have to wonder about why that is. Yeah, just like the priest, you know, the doctors are ignorant. They've been told and taught to use morphine. Why? I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, so Carolyn, you have a question?
When you start at the heart, you're unwinding at the heart and going to the solar and unwinding that, then coming back to the heart and unwinding it again.
Yes.
Go to the solar, unwind it again, go up to the throat,
Yeah.
unwind it. So each time you are continuing the spiral in a greater unwind.
Right,
Each is unwound even more.
exactly. It's like you're laying a track, right? You're laying a track.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the soul to exit, and it's the spiral, because that's the path of, we come in on a spiral, we
Yeah.
go out on a spiral. It's the geometries of this third dimensional, you know, manifestation, right?
Yeah, I see this as incredibly powerful, and it's almost too much for me to take on. I have to be frank or clear that I don't feel comfortable doing this because I just find it's, you know, it's big, it's big, it's major,
Mhm.
and so yeah, I appreciate being able to do it, but I'm not sure I want to do it.
Well, it's up to you, completely up to you. Yeah, you decide what you're comfortable with and negotiate that with your partner. I'll put people in. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the meantime, we'll come back to that, Carolyn. Susan, you have a question?
I have two, actually. The first one is, my concern is similar to Carolyn's, I guess, in that I'm not really necessarily comfortable with having this done on a living body. I'm
Mhm.
wondering if it's possible for disincarnate souls to attach to the living body while in the process of this practice. I have some issues with disincarnates anyways, because I'm a medium. So it can be very difficult to work with them. And I'm not sure, certainly not without a physical presence of a person. That would be my first question. Is there the potential, when you're halfway through this process, for a disincarnate to not necessarily a pleasant or a cheerful disincarnate, but even though you're in a sacred space, I've had issues, but so is it possible that a disincarnate soul might then say, oh, look, there's an empty body, and before the practitioner has the ability to get the person back in, attach? And the other question is it possible that this would release disincarnate, that this could be used, or is there a similar practice to this that releases disincarnate souls that are attached to, like, I'm not really talking about possession per se, but there's the kind of like a very thinly layered disincarnate. So the soul may be attached to the outer luminous body and not recognize that there's a brighter light for them to move into. And then they might, yeah, so it's a complicated question, I expect.
Yeah, well, how I would answer it, I mean, I've been doing this work now, I started in 2004. And so in my experience and from, working the teachers I've worked with, I have never had an issue or, nothing to my knowledge. I feel protected, working always in double sacred space. That's just my, I mean, I can't say I've always been unfearful in my life. I mean, I was a very fearful person, and moving into this work brought me to a level of safety and security that I like to think I've, become much less fearful of that. Remember that, I mean, is it possible? In my experience and to the best of my knowledge, I would say no. Just because I know it's just not me, and I'm working with forces that created the universe, and I am completely aligned with those. And I've never been afraid doing this work. I've worked with some, pretty dark stuff. So that's all I can speak to is my own experience. And I certainly wouldn't be sharing this if I felt that there was potential for some harm. So because I believe in the universe to me is a benevolent universe, right? Any evil intentions come from other humans who are exploring that path. That's, and that is ultimately for all our learning and upliftment. So I guess, yeah. So could disincarnates become attached? No, because your life force energy is strong. You have a silver cord that connects your luminous field to your physical form. And until you stop breathing, that is always attached. And that higher self, your higher self, your soul will protect you if that is, your intention and the intention of the person that you're working with. So is it possible that you could release some stuff? Yes, that's why we did the lifting the luminous field exercise, because what that does is loosen up and allow old stuff, old sludge, old attachments to that. That's one of the reasons we would use that as a practice, and while I've done that with clients, right, often, to allow, any old stuff or sludge or, whatever could be released at that time to be released. So, yeah, again, we live in a universe, we've got lots of stories and imprints embedded and, fear and anxiety from old traumas that we carry. So some of that may get activated. It certainly did for me when I started doing this work. I had lots of stuff in my field that came up for me to be aware of and to, release. So all of that. But, that being said, then I invite you to, listen to your own wisdom here. There's certainly no requirement that you do this. We've been doing the training includes this. I know it would be perhaps more reassuring if we were in the same room doing this work all together. But I understand that this stuff can come up, these fears and these worries. So I, just hold that in whatever your decision is. So I'm still going to put you in breakout rooms because I'd like you to discuss this with your partner if you do nothing else. And also just to practice, I want you to practice doing that spiral so that it becomes embedded in your field, right? In your body knows, okay, this is how you do this. So even if you're not doing it on each other, that you're just practicing getting that movement and getting those images in your mind and that movement in your body. Yeah. So I just am aware that Gail is sitting there now. I just wanted to give her a chance to share anything she wants to from her experience. So I didn't purposely lift her field, but just, whatever she wants to share.
I could just feel Allison moving a bit, and I just felt lighter. But I didn't really know. And I'm sitting there, I'm really not going to leave, am I? So there was that there. And I thought, well, of course not. And then when Izzy Moo came up, I thought, oh, so that was extra grounding. So there was more going on than I knew. So I was just very relaxed. And yeah, so I didn't journey. It was
No.
more just that kind of light stuff. And it was really, and definitely like the pushing of the feet, very gentle, right? It's just that push. And then with the head, so kind of, it's like lifting gently, pulling a bit, and then releasing it. So it's very smooth, very gentle, but very definite. So I just thought, good, it was clear. There was intention with that. And then I don't know about the winding, I don't, whatever, But yeah, so it was very easy. I had no qualms. I was just kind of wondering, but I thought, well, no, I trust Allison, and it is sacred space. But yeah, it was just kind of like this, and I thought, okay. So it was good.
So what I will tell you, and I see Shauna, you get your hand up there, is that when we do this, like when we did this in Four Winds originally, we would do the final death rites. And then just like in the lifting of the field, when I just said, lift it up between 5 and 8 inches, just to give you an experience of that separating, we would send the luminous field out around the earth. I've had my luminous field sent around the earth. I've sent other people's around the earth because you're connected, right? Your silver cord is connected. And so to go on a journey. And it's like, that's pretty cool. Like, it's, yeah, we play with this. And I mean, that's what your shaman school is about. It's like, okay, what can we do with this? How can we, how can we play with this, right? Knowing that we're all safe. And so, and yet it could bring up discomfort. So Catherine says, I'm not comfortable either because my internet's unstable today. My video's off, but I still get frozen screens. My internet's unstable. Okay, Catherine, no problem. Yeah. All right. So, I'm going to, oh yes, Shauna, come back to Shauna.
Yeah, just a practical question. So can you not do any of this work or the death rites if somebody is on morphine then? Or on any drugs?
No, it's just to be aware, like people do die on morphine, but that, it's part of what and what you may be able to, if it's a family member, or you may be able to advise other people if they're open to it and want to know, just so that that morphine, the dark side of morphine, is it closes the heart chakra, which is the one that many people are able to exit from.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that their soul will be trapped or anything, but it could.
No, it just means that their soul have to find another way out, basically.
So if they're, sorry, go ahead.
It may not be as clean and as easy as, for someone who's able to fully feel their heart chakra and their connection to source.
Would
Yeah.
that be similar to somebody who's just so energetically closed off? Like, is that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could, if their heart, they may have to have another chakra, like, yeah.
So if they're like, say, on their deathbed and they're on morphine, can you still do the chakra cleansing and that stuff?
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. It still will be helpful. Yeah. All of this will be helpful.
Any drugs will still, like, it'll be a hindrance, but not an absolute sort
Right.
of obstacle. Is that?
Yeah. In fact, it's not well known in the medical profession that they use morphine to basically kill somebody, to make them leave their body, force them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So my comment is more of a comment or a question kind of together. So basically, just like we would astro travel, we're actually helping our body to do a little astro traveling, but we still have our cord attached. So therefore we're not going to go too far. So
Yeah.
at what point in death, how does the cord get cut?
Well, again, it's all part of the lifting off, right? Of the separation of that. It you know, it doesn't get cut. It just, I think it all goes back, you know, it all, remember, it collapses in all that light, right? That, because it's a field of consciousness, right? Which we, you know, we forget that we're not actually a physical body. Our physical body it results from the instructions that come from our luminous field to hold it in place. And then once that life force is gone and that, you know, connection is gone, the body just very quickly breaks down and decomposes, which is why funeral parlors, you know, use preservatives, right, to try and keep it in some sort of form, because otherwise it just starts to decompose really fast.
So this is just a little bit of a help. If we wanted to astro travel, could we do this to ourselves to
Yeah.
allow our luminous field to have some fun?
Well, you know, again, we do this every night when we sleep anyway,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So all of this definitely loosens you up, right? Because as we get older, we tend to get more, you know, cemented into our physical body. Our luminous field gets heavier and gets more stuck, right? And that's just, you know, living in this world is pretty dense and you know, not always easy. So yeah, so you know, practicing being able to more easily separate and to, you know, that's really what journeying is about, right? Is that you can, your consciousness, your soul can go and journey somewhere. Yeah.
That makes me feel a whole heck of a lot better. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I
Good.
think about it that way.
Right. And so, you know, that's one of the benefits. And then a second benefit is that you loosen up all that sludge and the stuff that's, you know, the hucha that's in the chakra system, right? Just from life, from your whole lifetime. So that when your time comes, you know, to actually die, to leave your physical form and go back into spirit, that you can do that so much more easily and peacefully without, you know, all the fear and not everything getting triggered, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. So Susan, yeah, yes.
Yeah, my question is more around the morphine that you talked about. I know that, like, my mother was given morphine and she doesn't do it. She only used herbal remedies through her life. But near her death, the last couple of days, she was given morphine, and whether that hastened it or not, I don't know. I did watch her spirit leave her body, and the priest was brought in to do rites. And I say when her spirit was almost out, because like she'd already stroked and she was pretty much just holding on to wait for my siblings to show up to have the opportunity to say goodbye to what was still there. But I'm curious to know what it is about morphine, like, as opposed to other drugs, because you've said several times OxyContin's a better choice, but OxyContin has some terrible consciousness attachments. Like, it has caused, so any kind of opiate has, and the number of deaths that have caused by it, the number of the amount of destruction in North America from that drug, and the lies that are attached to it, because it was originally put out in North America as a drug that would not be addictive, and that was attached to a lie that was hidden for 5 years from everyone. The drug company hid that lie, and then they fired the vice president who put the information out and buried the lie with him. Like, there's horrible stuff attached to that. So if the attachment that to the morphine has to do with the history of the drug, OxyContin couldn't possibly allow somebody to move out through their heart.
Well, I don't know any of this firsthand. I'm just reporting what the shamans have relayed. And not even directly to me, but to a colleague of mine who worked more extensively with them. And so that's what the shamans who see things energetically said. So, you know, again, you may have more knowledge about that than I do. But that's what I was told. So I'm relaying that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah, use your own discernment, Susan. Yeah.
Thank you. Mhm.
So I'm going to put you in breakout rooms. And like I said, feel free to just practice. You don't have to practice on each other, but I would like you to practice doing that spiral, using your fingers and imagining. You can just do it in the air if you like, but I want you to practice that as a way to get those movements in your body and if you're in your mind, if you're a visual person. Right, so two ways, through the body and visually in your mind, to do the spirals and to do it both clockwise. Well, at least do the unwinding, the death spiral. Just imagine that you're doing it, and if you're comfortable doing it with each other, do that. If you're not, that's fine too. All
I
right.
have a suggestion.
What's that?
The three who don't want to do it,
Mhm.
one, you could put them together
Mhm,
and then pair the others,
mhm.
or you could just say no.
No,
Okay.
I'm just gonna, yeah, no, but
Okay,
just,
do it.
yeah, and you just negotiate that. They're all big girls.
Oh,
You can
yeah,
negotiate that. Yeah, okay. All right, so I'm gonna give you 20 minutes. I mean, again, you, like I said, do it in the air, just practice, or on each other, it's fine.
And the 10-minute reminder.
Yeah, and I'll send a 10-minute reminder for you to switch if you haven't already. Oh, well. Okay, welcome back. So everybody's here. Just give me a, like nothing bad happened. You didn't go anywhere. Okay, excellent. Okay. All right, so we're going to go into the despacho ceremony. And again, I want this to be an experience as opposed to a teaching. So those of you who've known me for a while know that it's sometimes hard for me not to do that, because I want you to know why everything is, why I'm doing what I'm doing. But I'm going to do my best to just create the despacho with a minimum of instruction so you can stay in the experience of it as opposed to the learning of it. This is not meant to teach you despacho. This is meant to give you an example of a death ritual that has the functions of helping to get us out of that limbic brain, that fearful place, and even the neocortex, which is the sense-making brain, and into that God brain up here that recognizes the sacred and knows that you are an eternal being. That is your true nature and your pure essence. It is a consciousness that's held together with love, like love at the highest degree, and that death is but a going home, and that we can die in every moment to our old selves, to our old stories about who we are and why we're here, and move into a much more expanded knowing of who we are and how powerful we are and how beautiful we are. So the despacho is a beautiful way to do that, because there's so much beauty and sweetness in it by its very nature. So you have the instructions. So if you have your guidebook and you can open it and you want to follow along, knowing that this, again, our left brain, your left brain, wants to, you know, okay, this is how we do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? That's our Western logical language brain. Whereas despacho is actually as much as an experience and a process, and there's no right way to do it. So, for example, when I was going to put this together today, it was like, oh yeah, I sent them that that recipe. And you know, I have 3 different IA despacho recipes because every shaman does it, makes it their own, which is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to make it your own. And so you'll see that, you know, I don't have all the ingredients or exactly the ones, but again, so this is, I'm going to invite this to be an experience of you dying to your old self. So you might think in terms of the you that signed up for this course, and you know, with some expectations and hopes, aspirations for how you might change through this process, and letting that old self die and be reborn. So I'm going to bring this over. So yeah, there you can see it. And there, let me move this forward a little bit. So this is just some of the ingredients for it. So Gail, maybe we need to bring this forward. That there. And then we have all these beautiful flowers, and you can see them there that Gail gathered. These are flowers from my outside pots. Can you believe it? Some of them I had to rescue. We had snow yesterday, the first snow of the season, the first big snow. And I had to, oh, my little yellow flowers, I had to pull them in and wipe the wet snow off them. So you'll see here that I have layers of paper. They're just all laid on top of each other with the black on top, because that's the first one we do. And then the red and the green and the blue, purple, the yellow and the white. So they're just all laid on top. And so now I'm going to have to pull up my instructions. Oh no, they're in here. Actually, maybe someone could read them out to me. Who would like to start? You could take turns reading if you have them. Anybody have their despacho instructions there? Shauna. Okay, Shauna, and then you, Michelle, go. So you read me some, Shauna. We start with sugar. Sugar. Yeah. Right. So sugar.
Oh, Shauna, you're muted.
I'm like halfway through.
Yeah, we didn't hear you.
Yeah, okay, I'll just start with the instructions. Place sugar in the 4 directions using breath and intent.
You too. So Gail and I are, and you can send your breath and your intention from wherever you are, right? We're dealing outside space and time here. Okay. All right, Shauna, next one.
Place your first set of kintu onto the paper.
So Gail, you want to make one? So a kintu is a bundle of 3 leaves, and they would be cocoa leaves, which is their sacred plant in Peru. But we're using bay leaves because some crazy thing, it's illegal to bring cocoa leaves into Canada, even though you'd need a truckload to make an ounce of cocaine.
Add seeds and animal fat. Oh, sorry.
So if you were here, everybody would be making their own little prayer bundle of a kintu, which is the 3 leaves. But Gail and I are putting them in on behalf of all of us. So we're going to put 4 in there. Gail, 1 for each of the directions. And you can send your prayer into these, your breath, your intention. And then the animal fat, we'll put that in the middle, and some seeds. Yeah. And the seeds, there's different kinds of seeds. We'll use the black ones, the cocoa leaves. Okay,
So these are different.
this chocolate.
Okay.
Okay, ready for the next?
Add representation of the masculine and feminine.
Okay, so that's up there, the little male, female.
This one?
This should be male, female. I think. So there you go. Yeah.
Oh, there's the camera. On top.
Okay,
Michelle?
Add the red paper to represent the Pachamama or Earth. In gratitude to the Pachamama, add the following.
okay, so first I'm just folding up.
Mhm.
That's the red. Okay, now we're at the red.
Okay, so add the red, again, to represent the Pachamama. In gratitude to Pachamama, add the following. Lots of chocolate.
Mm.
Pachamama loves chocolate. I have some cocoa covered almonds here I'm sending.
Okay.
Over all the black or just the center?
Just the center. So this is the center. It's all
So
level.
you add them over the black folded paper.
Yeah, yes, because that's the center, right? We're actually creating a rainbow bridge between the worlds.
Ah.
Okay. Candles, not white, as they are for the mountains.
I have more candles.
Can we pretend it's another color?
I can, yeah, sure, we'll pretend. It's
Okay.
another-
We're pretending this is another color.
Okay.
Mhm.
So just
Right.
like birthday candles.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
What's
Uh,
next?
Red wine to say thank you to Pachamama and pass it around so that everyone should enjoy.
Mhm. So we would all be taking a little,
Sprinkle it over the creation.
okay? All right, everyone, energetically, here's a little, take a little sip of red wine. There's just a few drops. Or the Pachamama. We give her the best we have.
No, wait. Okay, sprinkle it over the creation and then a photo of the person.
Okay, so here's where you're going to send, I just want you to have yourself, a picture of yourself, and just project it onto this center, onto this bundle here. Just send it like a picture of yourself, as you imagine yourself to be.
Or old
So
self.
if you were doing this for someone who was passing, you'd put a photo of them in here. So just put a picture of yourself in here. Project it onto here. All of us here in a circle. And those of us not here today too, the crystal. Okay,
Next, we're gonna add sprinkles to celebrate life.
right there. Mhm. Oh, it's sprinkles.
Incense,
So there's that little bowl there's got Palo Santo and sage in there. Yeah. Okay.
We want both. Just
put
whatever.
it
you
all
want.
on. Put it
I was
all
just gonna say herbs such as sage, but you're already doing that, correct?
on. Yeah, and
Okay.
I have more too. More herbs. I got some fresh basil here from my garden.
And then some seeds.
Some seeds, got some here. This broccoli seeds or arugula.
Broccoli seeds.
And then who wants to go next?
I can.
Okay,
I'll wait for you to fold it all up though.
now is this layer finished now?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're all
Okay.
done.
Excellent, thank you. Right? Okay, Susan.
Okay, so it says next add the green paper representing the present world of reality. In gratitude to this level of reality, add animal fat for fuel,
What's this?
That's actually is some meat, beef.
Okay.
fruit, raisins, dates, spirit of our ancestors, our blood lineage,
Mhm. There's raisins there.
alphabet noodles, representing language or spoken words.
I've got the grand noodles, yeah. Oh,
What?
the back.
I gotta know, what are alphabet noodles?
You can buy them, you can buy them to make soup. They're literally pasta.
Alphagetti.
Alphagetti,
Ah.
yeah, yeah. So I forgot to bring them out, so I've just got other noodles. Actually, Spiros, there you go.
But you can use other things that represent the same thing, right? Like if you don't drink,
Exactly.
you don't have to use wine, or if you want to use like those little alphabet letters that you magnets on your fridge, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, you just have to be aware of what you're doing with the bundle. So if you're burning it, then those things are burnable. If you're putting it in water, you don't want to put anything in that would be injurious
Not
to
good for the
water.
ocean. Yeah.
Right, right.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you for that guidance.
And also just if you don't drink, then you don't have to drink. But the spirits do appreciate alcohol because it's stronger for them. So just because what's good for us is not necessarily good for the spirits, and the spirits do like strong drink.
Hmm.
All right. So is that it for that layer?
No, garbanzos, peanuts, all food our mother provides are our nourishment.
We
have
can put the
black beans.
quinoa, the black bean, yeah, and there's quinoa.
But not rice.
No, I don't know if that's yet. Okay,
What about lentils?
So the peanuts, the quinoa is next.
Yeah.
For sustenance. The tables or little figures for aspects of everyday life.
Yeah. Okay, we'll put some flowers in for that.
Yes.
In Peru, you go to the shaman shop and they have all those different ingredients.
Hmm.
Okay, what's next?
Money, dollar money for abundance in the next place.
Let me go ahead. Here we go, $1,000.
A magnet to attract our prayers.
There was a little back.
Yep.
there, okay.
No.
Seeds of the earth.
Yeah, there's seeds, there's broccoli seeds, yeah, and there's also sunflower seeds. Yeah, so maybe we'll put
Sunflower seeds?
We'll keep those for our the layer. Seeds going several layers.
And a cinnamon stick for the spices of the earth.
Yeah, there we go. Okay,
That's it.
okay. Go. Okay, ready for the blue.
Oh, there's good ones. Isn't there?
No, no, that's the yogurt covered raisins.
Oh, okay.
Is it the blue layer next?
Mhm. Who wants to read? Anybody else?
We can go back, Sean.
Yeah, I can go again. So the blue layer represents sky, clouds, sacred mountains. In gratitude, add sugar.
There's more sugar here.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Not sure if anyone wants it.
Clouds, which could be cotton balls.
Oh,
All of them? No, just
yeah.
some.
So just the first layer is the 4 directions, right?
Yes.
And when it says like your breath and your intent, what is your intention? What are you breathing?
Well, if we were doing this, my intention here is, and again, we started out with the intention that I suggested was that of dying to our old self, letting our old self die so that we can be born anew.
Okay.
Yeah.
Silica for its magnetic qualities.
That's
Yes.
something.
Yeah. Very thin.
Silica.
White corn.
We have mixture corn up there in the back. Yeah.
We have mixed corn.
So you try to keep everything on that square paper.
I am, yeah. That's my obsessive compulsiveness.
White beads are next for air spirits.
There's some blue beads. I put them somewhere.
Yeah.
And I didn't have white beads, so
Well, some are whitish.
some are white. There you go.
With
Yeah.
blue beads.
Beautiful on the blue layer.
Yeah.
Got to put the. Where did they put? No, we did put. Oh, there they go. Just flying around. The blue. we've got-
Angels. You have to add your angels.
Okay, we've got feathers for angels and some beautiful blue flowers, which it doesn't call for, but we have them, so we're going to use them.
So we have 3 feathers. Okay, it's like to go.
For the angels.
White grains.
Yeah, some rice, maybe. I think that's there. That's what.
White rice.
Mhm.
white feathers for flight.
Yeah, we've got those in.
You already got those.
Let me put some
That's
white-
it.
I also have some white copal here. I'm gonna put those in. Yeah. And also some white yogurt. So I use yogurt covered raisins for our spiritual ancestors and helpers and guides. So yogurt covered. There we go. They all want to hang out together rather than spreading them out. There we go. Ooh, pretty. Okay,
That's it.
all right, next layer.
I
Okay,
can
so,
go, oh, sorry.
who is that? Oh,
It's Helen, and I'm probably gonna say the same thing you were. It says number 6, purple paper, but I see we've got purple coming, so Shauna, if you want me to take over for this one?
You go, girl.
Okay, next, the purple paper. This represents the rainbow layer. This represents the colors of the chakras and the rainbow bridge that is used by the departed to cross over.
Mm,
Gratitude, add. Seashell, container for the intent of the despacho.
yeah, so everybody blow into this shell your intention of letting go of your old, shedding your old self, being born anew.
Inside the shell, a figure that connects the human and the sacred. This matches the departed with his or her cosmic twin.
Mhm. So we're using it's actually a wedding thing, man, husband, and wife. So cosmic, and we've got a gold and a silver. So connecting our cosmic and our human selves.
Multicolored wool or rainbow ribbons to represent the rainbow bridge.
We'll make a spiral. How's that? There's the rainbow bridge.
Flowers.
Yep, got lots of flowers. Yellow. Oh, there we go. That's what's gonna. Keep some of those fields.
So string to surround the despacho as a circle of life.
So is that red? So it goes on around the blue package?
Yeah, it's good. Beautiful. Anybody
You're
getting
just-
excited? Anybody getting excited? You feeling it?
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm
So you're
feeling
just
it.
What is this?
you're just adding bits of string onto the folded paper. You're not actually wrapping it around, right?
Not yet, no.
Yeah, okay.
And as you said that, Allison, and asked that question, it was 333 in Eastern time.
Was it? I love that.
It is, you're right. Confetti for joy.
Yeah, just some confetti.
Where do we want to add the snow?
I don't know. We'll probably put it
Where's
at the end.
confetti?
Confetti right here. For joy. Hey, you all seeing it? How beautiful it is?
Yep, it's
Yeah.
really beautiful. Incense.
Incense. Okay. Oh, I've got more cacao.
And that's the last one for that.
There's some white cacao. No. Is this it? No, that's this. No, we'll use that cacao there for incense. Actually, you could get a stick of incense down out of there, and we could break some of that up. It's beautifully smelling stuff. Use some cacao. There we go. Yeah, break some of that up. You're not breaking.
Okay, yes.
You can
we'll
just,
do
yeah,
this.
you can just pull it off the stick. Yeah, there you go. Oh, that smells good. There we go. Okay,
And that's it for that there.
go.
Right,
Okay,
anyone else want to take a turn or should I take my second turn? Okay. Then the gold or yellow paper represents vision, alignment with destiny, and becoming one with the stars. Place a new layer of quinto here and add copal golden incense to carry our dreams.
okay, so for everybody, blow your prayers into this. Carry your dreams.
Silver and gold leaf, the knowledge of spirit and of the mystery of the moon.
Like it's right there, yeah, and we got some gold sugar we put on there. Some stars,
Gold and silver flutes, the music in our lives.
bells, got gold and silver bells.
That's sugar.
Gold sugar. Okay,
Starfish, as above, so below.
okay, we got some stars. There's also stars here. They're candy stars.
Even better.
Oh, stars. Woohoo.
Okay, there you go.
Some more seeds.
Oh, there's some argilla seeds here. Yeah, there you are.
I can only imagine how fun it is if you plant it and watch it all grow.
Yes. There we go. We might as well put them all on because we got lots of the seeds of our dreams.
That is the last for this layer.
Okay. See, it's getting sort of big now, right? Got all the layers. Hey, there we go.
Who's next? Last one. Go ahead, Shauna, bring us home.
Susan,
Okay.
you want to finish or?
Okay, you
Sure.
go. Okay,
The
Susan.
last layer of paper is white, covering all layers. It is the layer of oneness, nothingness. There is nothing to do here. Honor it with your intention. When you've placed all your items in the dispatcho, the corners of the large paper are then folded over the contents so they overlap at the center. The dispatcho is now a smaller square.
What do we want to put?
So, yeah, this just remove them. There we go. Okay. So we need now a red and white ribbon.
The dispatcho is tied without flipping it over, so all the prayers are sustained.
I'll deliberately twist it so you can see red and white. Love it. Okay, I don't want to redo that. Okay. And have it even.
And one Kinto is added at the top for forgotten prayers.
And we're also going to put some flowers up here. There we go. Is that pretty or what? Of course it's pretty. And a piece of black spruce, which helps us remember our dreams. Yeah, it is, you know. It's not in there. And then sprinkle it with some snow.
We have snow here.
Lovely.
Awesome.
We had a tiny bit today too.
Okay, I wanted to put some fresh snow on the.
Yep.
Yeah, the whiteness, right? Of snow, of
Sorry, can I ask a technical question?
course.
It says that you were, after you were done, you put the corners of the large paper folded over the content so they overlap at the center, and then it's now a smaller square, but it looks like you just folded it the same as the others and it's not
I
a
did.
smaller.
I did. I don't know what that means. I've never been able to figure that out.
Okay.
So there we go. Yeah. I'm gonna put the pink in there too, pink flower. Because we can. A bit of yellow, because we can. Got some left over here. Put the yellow in there.
Did you want to add white?
Yeah, there's white in there, but you can have more. Yeah. There you go.
I have a question as well,
Mhm.
and again, it's a technical one. Are these the traditional colors or are there other colors? Because the Rainbow Bridge to me seems to be missing yellow and orange. So it's like the red paper,
yeah.
but then it went to the green. So would you be able, would it be okay to add orange and yellow paper in there?
Yes, you can do whatever you like. What I would say is, as long as you were clear what your intention was, right? Like, you know, not just add it because, well, it's missing, right, from your eye, but because you have, you know, an intention for what that might hold, that layer might hold for you. Again, you never know, like this recipe that the person, the Westerner who wrote down this, watched a shaman, a Peruvian shaman do this despacho, would have got their version of it, and you have no idea. Maybe they couldn't get orange in the market, right?
Right, right.
So it could be as simple as that, really. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so it's important as Westerners, we get caught up in how do you do it and what should it look like? And it really is all about intention and also basic understanding of the universe and how things work in the universe. Yeah.
I watched a video last night and they used the color. It was a whole ceremony with his family, his friends, and to celebrate his life. And they used all of his favorite colors and his
Yeah.
favorite football team's
Right.
colors. And it was just, and it just looked like they had so much fun and
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was really cool.
Yeah, the intention would be to make it as joyful as possible to be. So I'm going to just read to you from my book about Frida, whose actual name was Ursula, but I wanted to protect her privacy. But Frida's spirit flight. So Frida was a bright-eyed young woman in her late 70s who was referred to me by a colleague. She possessed a great childlike curiosity and a vast knowledge of the spiritual realms from years of study. Frida came regularly for private sessions and signed up for every workshop and presentation. She especially loved ceremony. Most of my advertising is through email, and Frida didn't have a computer. So she brought self-addressed stamped envelopes to our next appointment. Make sure you send me notices, she's instructed. I don't want to miss anything. One day, Frida arrived for a scheduled appointment wearing an unusually grave expression. She took her seat next to my desk and told me her news. I have cancer. It's advanced, she said, surprisingly matter of fact. I was shocked at first, but I've had time to think about it and I'm ready to die. I want to see what comes next, and I want you to help me. So we began to prepare for what the shamanic traditions call the greatest journey. Frida's health and energy declined rapidly. I'd since become a Four Winds certified Dying Consciously trainer, and over a number of home visits, she and her daughter completed the Dying Consciously program with me. Frida laid down or was propped up with cushions, but she insisted on doing as much as she could. She planned her death and funeral in detail. Her final weeks were spent in a hospice until one day she passed peacefully with her daughter at her side. In accordance with her wishes, Frida was waked at home for 3 days. On the last evening before the service and cremation, according to her plan, I held a special ceremony for family and friends. In the Peruvian tradition, we created an aye despacho. And but which means, you know, a bundle of flowers and sweets infused with prayers to help Frida on her way through the spirit realms. Once the layered rainbow colored bundle was complete, we headed to the backyard to offer it on a fire. It was then that I saw that the pit was actually a barbecue designed for roasting. Her son-in-law had, I said, we need somewhere to burn this gazpacho. We went to Canadian Tire and got a roaster. Anyway, a gazpacho needs hot flames, but it was late and everyone was tired. So I placed the bundle over the red hot coals, closed the cover, and hoped for the best. At the service the next afternoon, I sensed Frida's presence, which was not unusual. Most deceased attend their own funerals. We watched as Frida's body was lowered to the crematorium below. As the service was finishing, I registered a change in Frida's presence, like an agitation. And so I asked her daughter if she had checked the bundle. She had not, so sent me and a friend to look. Sure enough, the bundle was in the barbecue, badly charred, but still intact. Frida's presence was palpable now and infused with urgency. We gingerly retrieved the fragile bundle and placed it in a box. Since there was nowhere to build a proper fire, we decided to use the sacred site at my office, which was an hour's drive away. We drove as fast as we could. It was a beautiful early summer's day, and we're still wearing our funeral clothes. We'd like to change into something more comfortable, but we sensed Frida urging us to finish the ceremony. We drive over the dirt farm track as close to the site as possible and walk the rest of the way carrying a large bag of wood, ceremony supplies, and the half-burnt bundle. We build a big fire, and as soon as it's good and hot, we place Frida's bundle in the center of the flames. The slow roast must have dried it out because it burned quickly. As the last of the bundle disintegrates into ashes, Frida's energy coalesces, rises, and disappears. A stillness surrounds us as we look at each other in relief. She's gone. We have no doubt that Frida rode the energy of those prayers up to the spirit worlds. A few weeks later, a group of us gathered for a Monday night meditation at my home. We sit in a circle in front of the altar. Near the end of the meditation, a great ball of energy sweeps into and around the circle, and with a great flourish, it leaves again. I opened my eyes to see others looking wide-eyed. What was that? And then, in unison, we said, Frida. She dropped in to say hello and goodbye. We shared happy Frida stories, remembering her beautiful and unique presence, knowing she was now truly free. So there's one of my best stories about creating an eye gazpacho to help somebody make that transition back to spirit. So I'm Gail and I will burn this offered in fire tonight. So just know it will be offered. I'll probably do it in my little fireplace there. And so how's everyone feeling? Move that back maybe out of the way.
I think that's a beautiful story to have recounted. I remember you mentioning it, parts of it before. And I did have an experience with gazpacho, an ayu gazpacho, which I did a year or so ago. And I knew that I couldn't burn it, and it wasn't appropriate to put it in water, so I wanted to bury it. And I let it sit overnight. Now, the gazpacho was for giving grace and prayers, and it wasn't for a person's passing or anything like that. But the next day, that gazpacho just got on my case until I did something about it. And I mean, it was like, you don't do anything more until you do something. And I came to burying it. And it was a bit of a task, because I had to find a place in a rocky piece of ground to put it under sod. And as soon as I did, all of that feeling dissipated. But there is certainly a personality that goes into a gazpacho. And when you put so much prayers and so many, the ceremony is so sweet, so sweet. So I can't imagine how this is so poignant to do it with the person. And I also remember about a story in Peru, the shamans and one of their major teachers, they put their mouth to his mouth as he took his last or exhaled his last breath. And they passed that breath around the room to each of them. So breathing into the next person's mouth, and that person would inhale and pass it to the next and to the next and to the next. And the last person opened the window and breathed out the spirit of that shaman. But the breath had gone around the circle. And I thought, what a beautiful tradition to do something like that. So powerful.
Wow. Yeah, there's so many traditions. And if I had time, I would have shared some more. But anyway, we always run out of time. Shauna, you get your hand up there. And then Susan.
Is there a timing to the despacho for someone that's died? Like, do you have to do it within a certain time, or? I mean,
You know, I don't know about that for sure. Because I suspect that as soon after the death as possible would be good. But you know, there's that 40-day window that they talk about where the spirit is still making its way through the spirit realms back to the ancestor realm as it all goes well. So, you know, it might be good within 40 days. You could use that as a guide. Yeah.
40 days.
Yeah. There's, well, according to the Tibetan tradition, they say 40 days to get through the Bardo plains, which are the other realms of spirit, to get back to the ancestor realms. So.
But it's 40 hours for the spirit.
40 hours for the window for them to get back to the spirit realm. But then there are levels to the spirit realm. It's the teachings in many traditions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
there's, you know, there's all the hungry spirits and the hungry ghosts and all the life review, you know, all of that has to be done once you leave this plane, which is why we can do as much of that as possible before you transition back to spirit.
okay.
But there are levels, just like there's levels of reality and levels of spirit realm.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, Susan.
Yeah, so I really can't stay any longer because I have another obligation at 5:30, but I did want to share this. When I started this course, I have a young woman who's very good friends with my daughter, my oldest daughter, and my daughter had reached out to me and said, Mom, I have this friend who has breast cancer, and can I put her in touch with you? So I do energy healing work and I do whatever else I do. Anyway, she passed on Wednesday. And on Thursday, she passed on Thursday. And Thursday, I had a sense that was going to happen. She had reached out to me and asked for some guidance as it was time, it was close. And that was during the course as well. It was like, how does she let go? And so I gave her the best guidance that I could. And then her sister reached out on Thursday night. So I really felt that I had the permission to assist her spirit with moving on. And I did that. I opened sacred space before I spoke with her sister, and and did a little ceremony to help her move on. And I just thought I'd share that because it was just so poignant. You had said there's a reason that we're called to this. And I said the reason was that I had been called to help Brooke, to help her spirit to move forward and to help her move on. And I certainly blew her energy into her dispatch as well, right? You know, prayers for her for sure and for her family.
Beautiful.
So it's been an honor to do this and to get to know all of you. And I have a father who's probably very hungry at this point. So thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks, Susan.
Susan. And Susan, keep in touch. And, you know, I'd love feedback, anything you feel called to offer. We're going to take our last minutes now for just to do a quick review and any feedback, anything you'd like to share. Is there anything else you'd like to share about the process?
I did the exercise with Michelle, the last spiral, and I am so with Michelle on the idea that I'm going to use this myself to assist myself with lifting out of my body for astral travel. And we had a conversation, and I'm going to do some more research myself about using natural options. I think I'm going to see if I can. It's not legal in Canada, but I think that some horrible things are legal and some other things aren't. But our body naturally produces DMT when we die. That's the natural near-death experience production. And the closest chemical that, well, it's not a natural, but the closest natural thing to producing that, besides a lot of meditation, because that's what also journeying does. I've studied a lot of this, is ayahuasca. So ayahuasca releases the same DMT. So when I die, I want them to give me ayahuasca, if anything. But yeah, but I'm certainly going to look into more natural options. Labrador tea is a natural opiate replacement option as well. For anybody who's going through opiate withdrawal, coming off of drugs, Labrador tea is a very natural, very, very low dose steeped Labrador tea does the same, that hits the opiate receptor. So there are natural things that were created to allow for these processes that have nothing to do with what Big Pharma has put out there to take away our money.
Right on, right on. Thank you, Susan. Such a
Thank
pleasure.
you. And I will be in touch. I will definitely continue. It's been so helpful to be able to do this work. Allison, I wanted to come out and do your shamanic course when Crystal did it. And I
Right.
was celebrating with her that she's like, when she said, I got it, I've got in, and I'm going to get to go do this. And yeah, so it's been wonderful to watch your journey and her journey. And I'm glad that ours came together. Thank
Right.
you.
Right. Well, goodbye, Susan. And if everybody else could stay on for a couple of minutes, then that would be great.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Hi,
Yeah.
Susan.
Yeah.
Bye,
I like,
Susan. See
yeah.
you.
Anybody else
soon.
had to go right away? Maybe have a few minutes because we were a little late starting. Oh, we see we have a four-legged. You have your four-legged, Michelle. Beautiful. See her, see her.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's his name? Her name?
That's Marley. And whenever I do energy work, she has, like, I meditate, anything I do, she has to be right next to me.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah,
Right.
she's amazing.
Yeah, well,
She looks
she's
happy.
your guardian, right?
Yeah, and we found her and saved her and gave her a forever home.
Yeah, beautiful. So I would love to hear anybody who'd like to share, any feedback from me about the course or the content or, anything about the structure of the course or the content. Anything you'd like to, anything you liked best about the training, anything that you could see places for improvement, just, anything that you'd like to share. To give
I
you.
have a bunch of questions that I didn't get a chance to send you ahead of time, but I do have some. They don't have to be long answers.
Okay, all right, then will you go, girl?
Is now a time? Okay. Do you need to open sacred space, and do you need to use the 8th chakra sacred space to do like a quick chakra clearing? Like if you're just like, say you're out somewhere and somebody, you get into a confrontation and you can feel it and you just want to, but you don't want to do the whole thing. Is that a good, like, is that something you can do, or is that not appropriate because it would be dangerous?
Well, I don't know. I mean, saying it's dangerous is probably a bit extreme. However, I would open sacred space first. I mean, because that in itself is a call on the forces of creation to hold your back.
Okay.
And so
it's like
even more than clearing chakras, right? Like it's like that's the primary intervention, prayer in an invocation of those powerful forces that have organized the universe and brought everything into being. It's like, it doesn't get any more fundamental than that.
Okay.
So
So you need like big sacred space, like the,
and both, and do both. And the thing is, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, reading out every word. I mean, you can be holding that intention in your heart and in your mind. And, you know, it could be, if you're in a pinch, you just like call them in, just like I call you all in. But that being said, the more often you actually, I'm saying this from personal experience, the more often and regularly that you know, turn to that direction, and you with intention, you know, say some words, remembering the power of your voice and your will, right? Then you start to develop a relationship. You can actually feel them. I mean, I would sense them coming in. I'd go around, like, and I could feel their power. And so, you know, you build the relationship. So my teacher would say, you know, up to a certain part of your spiritual journey, when you call, they come, they answer. But at a certain point in your journey, then they will call you, and then you have to answer, because it's about a relationship that you're developing and cultivating with those invisible realms and those invisible beings. So that's what I'd say. You know, just get, even if you just get up every morning and just, if you do nothing else, like open sacred space around your day.
well, that's the next question really, is how do you close sacred space?
Well, you know, you can live always in sacred space.
Oh.
I mean, to close it, like say you, depends on why you're opening it. If you're opening it around your day, at the end of the day, as you're going to sleep, you can just say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And, you know, so it's not like closing. You can close, like I would close when I open sacred space around, say, a client session. I open it and then I close it around that client session, because I don't want to leave that open. But if I'm opening for myself and around my day and my work and, you know, everything I do that day, then it can just be an ongoing process, right?
So
Where
you just reopen it like every day kind of thing, and then at night. Okay.
yeah, and then it keeps it fresh and keeps it going. And then if, say, something big comes up, like you got a big family get together and you want to keep, you know, you can open sacred space around that family get together. You know what I mean? Like special things, or around the doctor, if you had a, you know, a stressful meeting or something, you can open it around that specifically.
Okay.
But I'd really encourage you to start a relationship with those, you know, organizing forces.
Okay. The luminous field lifting, is there, like, I guess we talked about astral travel. Is there any other purpose outside of the death rites for that? And
The
like that-
luminous field lifting, one, it actually loosens everything up, right? And allows, it's like,
you said
you
that.
know,
to me,
it's like putting you in, being in the dryer cycle, right? Fluffing everything up, right? Keeping it loose and keeping it healthy, and letting, you know, the sludge and the toxins and stuff just, yeah.
Okay.
fall
And then
away.
with that 40 hours thing, is there like anything that you can do after the 40 hours has passed?
Yes, there is. So for somebody who's already passed, they could be past 2 days, or, well, I wouldn't say 2 days because they need time. After the 40 days and into the infinite future, you can still do interventions. So for example, you can do what is called surrogate death rites, where you, that would mostly be done when you have either a family member or another shaman who can hold the energy of that deceased one and do the death rites, you know, do the chakra cleansing or the death spiral. So there's also, you know, resolution, things that can happen. So for people who die with unresolved issues, I've often done a journey. I go look for them in the spirit realms and find out where they are, how they're doing, and I can do an intervention at that level too. To just, you know, bring them further along on their soul's journey. And also to do some resolution, say with a living relative who, you know, didn't get to resolve or say goodbye or, you know, say I forgive you or whatever, right? So there is, yes, but you would probably need some more instruction or support to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, you know, for those that
There's
you're.
always
of it.
healing. There's always healing, more healing that can be done.
Is there any significance about the anniversaries of death? So if
There,
you,
yeah,
today
there-
is the year anniversary of when Murphy died. My cat
Yeah.
Murphy. Some of you
oh,
don't.
right, yeah.
So it's
I think the anniversary thing, I mean, the universe is mathematically constructed. And so that's why numbers, you know, is there is an order and a structure, and math is the language for that. So yes, and I also think that it's probably for the person who loved that, for, you know, that those anniversary dates, because you remember, then that becomes significant. And so, you know, more so than that it's a particular day, for example, it's because it's significant to you.
but not for the soul of the person necessarily.
No, because they're break free of linear space and time. They don't exist in that realm, right? No,
Okay.
yeah, right.
What if you don't, or you forget to take back your 8th chakra? Will it just come back to you naturally?
It will, again, probably in about 20 minutes or so.
Okay.
However, the other thing is that, again, just like with the sacred space and building relationship, as you do your work, you know, depending on how your luminous field is constructed, and everybody's is unique, then that can become almost like a permanent features. Just like I spent years doing light invocation meditations. There was like this anchoring your light body, which actually started my whole spiritual adventure very dramatically with out of body experiences and astral traveling and all the, anyway. So, you know, if you regularly do that and you have a really expansive light body, then that golden chakra becomes more permanently expanded around you.
Which is okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's, you know, as long as you're grounded, right? Again, it's that, you know, we're both, right? We're physical and we're, so if you are doing just like I was doing with, I was, you know, opening, expanding my luminous field, but I hadn't done my own work, especially my lower chakra work, right? So I was having pretty, you know, interesting experiences, but I wasn't really grounded. So that's the danger, right? That you could become just so out there, and but you're not grounded in your life, and you're not, you know, functioning properly in your life.
And the decoupling you just do before they die to help them kind of let go of, like,
You can do decoupling with anybody, anytime, who is whose, you know, nervous system is on
Yeah.
flight, right? You can do that with anyone, anytime.
but I'm sorry. Yes. And I did it with my other cat and he loved it, which is great because he's had a very stressful physical life. Anyway, but I just mean in terms of somebody that's dying, like you would just do that while they're still living, I guess, right?
Yeah, you might do it as part of the 7 chakra cleanse, for example, right? If you sense that they're just, whoa, you know, like really on fight flight activated, then you could, you know, you could even probably do it as part, no, you wouldn't want to do it as part of the death rites because they're already dead, but certainly as part of the 7 chakra cleanse, you could do it.
Okay.
Incorporate it into that. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that time. Those are
Oh,
all my
no problem. Okay, so I'm just going to give you that, Michelle, you're up there at the top. Any feedback you'd like to give about the course and how you're feeling about it, and any, you know, for good and constructive?
Yeah,
as
can we do 3 more weeks?
I'd love to.
Can we do that? No, I mean, it was fast. It seemed smushed together, but yet on the other hand, if there was more time in between, it would get lost and we wouldn't do the homework anyway. It's kind of one of those things where it's almost better to be pushed to do it because of the time crunch. I practiced the other night on my girlfriend doing just the decoupling. So that was really cool. We were going to do the chakra cleanse, but we ran out of time. I love it. I love how it brings together so much. I put in the chat that, the Greeks do a service at 40 days. And I will tell you that I was in charge because my grandfather my papu had died first. And so I was the only one left down here where our church was. And about 2 weeks after her death, I had not called the church yet for the 40 days to plan it. And my husband and I were in the living room and we hear something fall in our bedroom. And it was my liturgy book that she had bought me. It just popped off the shelf and was just laying on the floor open. And I was like, okay, Yaya, got the message. I called the priest the next day. We booked the 40 days. And there's this whole, granule thing that you got to make with all the stuff, berries. And my daughter has learned to make it and it's amazing. And Poliva. And I did it. So especially when they believe in something, they expect it. And it's almost like she was waiting for it. And my great grandmother used to bring me to the cemetery and we would have picnics. We'd have a Krispy Kreme donut and some chocolate milk, and she'd clean off all the different stones of her friends and we'd walk around. And it was just this beautiful day with my grandmother. That's all I knew. So for me, death has never been something bad. And that's why I was kind of so just off this week when I felt so much fear. But I did a lot of grounding work today and yesterday. And I feel wonderful. I feel like I just want more. So thank you for your beautiful, beautiful energy and just everybody here and just everything we've shared. And I can't remember if it was Carolyn or Kathy with the story with the Indians when at the man that came back and, the presents. When my father-in-law passed on Mother's Day, my husband looked out to the backyard, which is why I'm out here today. And he saw chiefs just passing by my father-in-law's window and just giving, like thanks, like just respect. And it was just, so when you were telling that story the other night as I'm washing dishes and watching the replay, I'm just crying. And it was just so beautiful because I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what my husband saw. So we're all here for a reason. We all were here and meant to be here to meet. So thank you so much. I feel so honored to be a part of this group.
Yeah.
And I'm going to miss you
Thank you,
guys.
Michelle. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I just have a little tip for Shauna. Sacred space, opening sacred space, you can close it. You can use it for anything. My experience has been whenever I have to go, say you're on a long trip and you're in the car. Before starting on a trip, I open sacred space all the way around my car so nobody will hit me and I won't hit anybody else. If I go through bad weather, if I know I'm going to be going through bad weather, I'll open sacred space. I won't get in the car until I say, okay, look, this is what's going to be coming up. We're going to stay balanced. We're going to stay within the speed limit. We're going to be we're not going to be real slow, but we're going to be extra vigilant, and that's how I open space. And when I get into a car with somebody that should not be driving, I always set the intention, okay, this car is going to be safe. We're going to get to our destination just fine. Nobody is, everybody's going to be in a good health and happy and everything, and the car is going to get there. And the car is not going to break down because it's full of gas. And then I check the gas to make sure that it is full. But you can open sacred space for anything, you know. It's just a matter of intention. And why would I go on a long trip if I didn't want perfect weather? Well, sometimes you don't get perfect weather, but I don't have to be in a 85 car pileup, you know. It works. My husband has been over the years awed at we just missed that big pileup. And I said, keep going forward, you know, keep your head forward. We're going and we're not speeding, you know. So it does help. Sacred space, it just calls in all the spirits and the guides and the elementals, and they see you, and the elementals just sort of go around you. And it's just because you're in a bubble, and you're protected. So, and I don't always close it when I stop for the night, but the intention the next morning is, okay, this is a great day. We're going to have nothing but hurricane force wind, but I'm going to get to the next stop. You know, everybody's going to be just fine.
So Kathy, I'd love to have some feedback. I'm just realizing some people are still going to have to leave. Can you provide some feedback about the course, how you found it?
I found it very similar to the Four Winds that I did, and it was some nice remembering for me. You know, I did not, the decoupling stuff, that wasn't the term that was used when I was going through the course. So I saw that as an opportunity of reconnecting with that, because I had for some reason forgotten all about that stuff. So I've been reconnecting with that. I'm really glad, and I can see, looking back over the people in the family who have passed before I ever knew about the Four Winds, that innately, I guess, or instinctively, that there were moments where I did do some of those steps, you know, like the forgiving and surrendering and always being with them, and it's okay to let go, and you know, just things to keep the other family member, you know, in a calm space. And I didn't know that that was part of the steps, you know. So I think there's something innately in us that it's nice to know that that in the indigenous world that we are all connected with them at this time, doing these death rituals. It was beautiful, and I wish there had been more time, but I get it, you know, we're constrained by time to do all this. But I hope that we can all check in, maybe on the Light Bringers page or something. Yeah, because there were things. Catherine and I did a session, and we didn't get everything said that we needed to say between us. So yeah, I think it was okay. It was fine. I love being reminded, and yeah, it's 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 all good. You know, I can see from a wider perspective. I can see the whole process. You know, from like a couple months before the person, or even in a family that's not even of like mind, and they just you know are falling apart. How you can go in and say, well, you know, let's just slow down, and what do you want them to know? You know, what do you listen to them? You know, so there were some tips on how to approach the family, and getting them. And I thought that was very helpful. So
Okay,
that's
thank you.
it.
Thank you, Kathy. I'm just aware now it's 5-6 minutes before the hour here, and I've already taken you over. Anybody else like to, I mean, again, I'd love to hear feedback, and feel free to send me a note or phone message or call me or whatever. But anybody like to share here now?
I'd like to just ask, where might this be? Not that I'm a Facebook person, but I do have an account. What aspect of it is it that you're hoping that we will connect on?
Well, the Dying Consciously practitioner page are people who've taken the training with me, or a number. The ones there have all taken the training with me, and anything for personal support or for questions for me to answer, or you just want to, you know, check in with other people and share an experience. If there's anything that can be used for. Yeah.
And definitely the connection with another person outside of class and making that effort, and how nice that several people have a Zoom account.
Right.
And it'd be wonderful, I guess, if I did too, but I don't.
Right.
But you know, it's just wonderful. But if you can't do it by Zoom, that you can do it with intention, and you can do it through Indra's net. You can
Right.
do it, yeah, with intention. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Helen, put your hand.
Yeah, I found throughout all your, thank you to everybody participating for the questions and for the stories and all of that. So I find that you've left a lot of room for us to be part of it. And through that, even through an occasional mistake, it's confirmed for me that I'm feeling this and doing it, and it's pulling lots of memories because of how little our culture addresses these mysteries. And if you talk to anyone who's supposed to be spiritual in a regular church, they avoid this like the plague. So many answers, like so many, things that I've done as experiences, but somehow this has pulled it together for me a lot. Like why things work and why they're, like I go to High Park with somebody who it works in the shamanic tradition, and we close the space. And we've done this, especially through the pandemic. We've done some very deep personal work out in a public park, and no one ever has tread anywhere near us except squirrels and like birds and frogs. And then water got added to that spot. They put a hose in to fill this little area that had dried out, and maybe before had been a small pond. So we've, like the staff have enhanced this spot we use. Now we've got the sound of water, and it's like crazy how magical it is to open sacred space. And we've got these very ancient trees that we use for the directions, and they're like guardians, and it just pulls a lot of stuff together for me having done this. And I know I decided very last moment. But I'm finding also that I've let go of some like traits that like, you know, I worked with somebody on Thursday, she's my naturopath, but she's pretty therapeutic. And I let go of this like relationship where I was pretty judgmental around my friend. So when, you know, when relationships end, it's really easy to blame. And I took a whole bunch of it back, seeing my part in it, which is a really hard thing to do, that to kind of, oh, whoever, that was Shauna. Oh no, Shauna's comment.
Michelle. Yeah.
Michelle. So yeah, a whole lot of stuff that we don't like doing as adults, admitting that our part in things, and that's become easier. So that's like a kind of a dying that's been amazing, you know. So I just dropped right in, like with my naturopath, it wasn't an hour, did a huge piece of work. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Helen. Yeah. Shauna, did you want?
Yeah, I can say a short thing. One feedback is I would have liked, I think, a little bit more time in the breakout rooms. It was, especially for the life review, we like to talk about that needed more time. But otherwise, it was so awesome just to connect with all of you, to meet new people, to have your wisdom shared with me, to reconnect with Carolyn too, because I haven't seen you for a while. Hi, Carolyn. We didn't do any sessions together, but you know, it was nice just to listen to you and hear you again and stuff. And yeah, I really appreciate everything that you guys all bring to the table. And yeah, thanks for teaching me so much. And Allison, I love working with you. You're a light. Thank you for sharing it.
Well, I like to point out the obvious, which is that you can only see that which you are. So back at you. Right. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, it's been such a pleasure and always an honor to share this knowledge. And there is never enough time. It's like, oh my God, we are. Somebody said, right? We're so constricted by space and time, but yet we're not. You know, again, it's a perception. And so just know. Let's finish on that note. Just know that there is no limit. That we are infinite and limitless beings by nature. Like that's our true nature. The rest of it is just illusion and just temporary, right? It's just temporary. So I'm going to end with Emmanuel, who says, you know, what happens when we die? See now, what happens? Oh no, there we go. What happens then? No. Anyway, I thought I had it right there. I thought I had it marked, but it's of course, no. Okay. Oh well, I guess I'm not meant to share. Oh, there you go. There it is. I got it. Okay. Picture death as a stage. The stage itself is light. Wonderful, beautiful home. You, however, are in the wings. You are still human, and you are moving about in that darkened area, stumbling over props, tripping over scenery, bumping into each other, and frightened that you have forgotten your lines. There is confusion and turmoil. But the moment that you step into the light, it doesn't matter what the scuffing was before you got to stage center. It only matters that you are home again. Death is like that. So let me tell you a story about dying. You live a lifetime. At the end of it, you say to those around your deathbed, oh, what a long life. Why, I lived 90 whole years. Do you know how much I did? And then you die. You wake up and ask, how long was I gone? The beings of light who are with you answer, we hardly noticed you were gone at all. you just sat down and dozed off for a second, and here you are again. What kind of a dream did you have this time? So life is but a dream, they say, right? So anyway, thank you for joining me on this journey over the last 3 weeks. It's been rich and full and very satisfying. And I trust you'll all be in my heart and my prayers going forward, that this knowledge will be there for you in your waking and in your sleeping, and that it will find its right place in your life, and you'll find a right place for it and to share it. So much love always. And I look forward to seeing you again in some other space-time dimension. Okay, much love, everyone. Bye, Pussycat. Okay, I'm going to be offering your despacho soon. Okay, bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thanks to Gail.
Bye.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks to
Well,
Gail.
I'll say goodbye. Yeah.
Yeah, Gail is weathering her first storm.
See you, Shauna. See you, Karen.
Bye.
Bye, Alice. See ya.